Arch Manning has been progressing and getting better. It seems like week in and week out. B-Ross, what are your thoughts on Arch Manning and his progression up to the Oklahoma game?
Yeah, so I think Sark is doing a better job of understanding what his quarterback likes.
Yeah.
Because again, like watching him on tape, Arch is like he doesn't miss throws when he's in the pocket and throwing outside the numbers. That's what he's most comfortable, especially throwing to his right. That's what he dropped back 3 steps in the shotgun, which is 7 from under center, and he let it rips and it's on time. It's good ball location, all that stuff. It's when they kind of start doing things where like either he's not at that point in the game yet, or he doesn't believe in the throw where he hesitates or he misses a throw. But he's been doing a lot less of that, and I think part of it is because the way Sark calls the game, and I think he's just getting way more confident. Like you see it in like how he's carrying himself, how he's calling the play, like everything just looks a little bit more intense, sharper, to where he's like really doing a great job of tuning out all the outside noise, rather good or bad. He's just tuning it all out and just playing ball, and it looked like he's having more fun as well. So, which also helps in his overall progression.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster for Arch, as it has been for the entirety of the Texas roster. A lot of the blame for Texas's ups and downs are put on Arch, but I think that it's kind of unfair. Obviously, I think there's a lot more blame that needs to go around to not just Arch. But Arch does, of course, he's the quarterback. He's he's been somebody that's been on this team for a few years now, so you got to give him some flack when he's not playing well. That all said, sure. I do think he is progressing well. Even in the Florida loss, I thought there were signs of positivity within that game in terms of he was battling, he was fighting.
Absolutely.
He was getting smoked every play, and he was still getting up and still trying. Yep. And then we saw some of the fruits of his labor against OU, which is a really good defense with an excellent defensive line that sacked Jackson Arnold 10 times. And there was a lot of chances where OU could have gotten Arch down. Not a ton, but there was a few. I mean, there was a couple times where Arch had to roll out, make some plays, get some guys off of him, and he kept making plays. I thought the OU game was the best game of his young career. Yes. And that even includes the 2 games last year, because this is the first time he went up against a good-ass team, a really good team. And, it took us some time to get going. It wasn't Arch's fault. That was penalties and getting to 3rd and longs. But once they got rolling, the offense moved the ball. And what I loved about that Oklahoma game and what I loved from what Arch was doing, these were not quick strike drives. These were long drives.
Long sustainable drives, yes.
I mean, that third quarter, we had, 2 drives that led up to points, and Oklahoma had the ball for like less than a minute or like a minute in the third quarter. That's impressive. If Texas can just continue to do that, where they have 1 or 2 drives a game that just constrict it
10 plus plays, and
and it leads to hopefully a touchdown, like that is so big, especially when you want to talk about like Georgia or things like that. That's huge.
So with that being said, it was kind of impressive how in the midst of a drive, Sark would change the tempo, because it was one drive when Trey Wisner, it was the drive after he broke that long run. They came back and had a nice long drive, but the tempo varied, where they'll get on the ball, snap it, hand it off, get 8. Then they see anyone lagging, back on the ball. If they get lined up, then they slow it back down, then they pick it back. Like, to me, that's how this team has to play, because I actually do like when we play with tempo, because it stops the defense from what they really want to do, and it eliminates some of the thinking, because as a offense, now okay, because we're going so fast, they only run these calls. This is all they can do, or all they like to do. Most teams don't send pressure when you go tempo, because just the timing and being tired, honestly. So to your point, those long drives and varying the tempo and things like that, like, to me, all of that plays a part in Arch's success, because it eliminates some of the actual thinking and processing that he has to do down in and down out. And the run game came on.
Yes, I think you made a point earlier that I want to kind of circle back to. You said Sarkisian's figuring out Arch. There's now a better understanding of what he uses and what he likes. I think you brought a really good point up there, because you saw that in this OU game where Texas rolls out there and starts the game with felt like 15 screens in a row, just getting Arch some completions of kind of like what they did with Quinn last year, where just get him a few completions, and then all of a sudden now he's making throws within rhythm. Now he's timing the balls better. And what we talked about throughout the first 5 games of the season was Texas wanted to keep going deep, but it just wasn't working. So what did they do? They dialed it back all the way in the OU game to where everything was really within 15 yards and in. Occasionally Arch would break out and they'll make a play, but get the ball to your playmakers to let them make a play. Get the ball to Trey, get the ball to Wingo, Livingstone, Moore, and let those guys make plays in open space. And that's what we saw in this game. And I thought that was really impressive for Sark to make that adjustment, because that's kind of what we had to do last year with Quinn in some ways, because
honestly, well, I'm just thinking, and like all the quarterbacks I've ever seen, whether I played against them or scouted them, they all like that. They all they can throw a million balls in pregame, but until they feel that pressure and understand like the timing live, that's when they're like, oh, okay, all right, kind of good. Like a lot of quarterbacks like coming out throwing the first play, not because they're greedy, but because they want to see what defense is doing, how they're going to line up versus this guy, or how they're going to play this coverage. Like they want to see that early, because then it tends to eliminate the adjustments and the thinking later, because you kind of are always a step ahead, because you get to dictate what they do based on formation and concept as an offense. So when they come out in screens, what does that do to help the O-line? It slows down the pass rush, right? So now Arch knows, okay, I can hang in a little bit longer, or if it gets too close, like I can let it all collapse, and I'm strong enough and I'm athletic enough to make things happen. Like all of that goes into play, and just in terms of getting a guy in rhythm. Some guys actually like getting hit, so they want to stand tall a couple of times, take a few hits to see, okay, all right, I'm good. So to your point, Sark is doing a really good job of just understanding that and trying to get him going sooner than later, because in the second half he would do what I thought he should do in the first half every game up until last game. So kudos to him.
Yeah, and the thing too is when you get that, just the quick things rolling, right? When you get the screens going, the RPO game, things underneath, then it all of a sudden now it works. Now all of a sudden the ground game gets better. Now all of a sudden, we got you thinking you got all your safeties close to the line of scrimmage. It's like a shot down the field, right? And so now it's like you're making things a lot harder on the defense, because it felt like against Florida and even like UTEP, for example, it felt like, man, it was drop back for Arch trying to make plays down the field that just wasn't open. Even in the Ohio State game, I almost kind of wonder if the game plan was different in those games of kind of a similar OU game plan where it's like hit the underneath, let the guys get open and create some space underneath and let them make plays. And then eventually some of the deeper things will start to open up.
Right. And that's why this game plan, I thought this is what you do versus Ohio State. You come out screen heavy because they're fast. They're explosive, like the D-line to the secondary. Like those guys can run laterally, or like they can move. So you get them off balance. Like you do some misdirection stuff. Like that's what I thought the first game would look like. And to me, that's how you get any sort of success out of Arch, just because to me, it makes him comfortable because the ball's coming out quick. He might get pushed late a little bit, but he gets to feel just a little pressure.
Yeah.
Because it's a screen. So yeah, man, I truly think like the way he's calling the game now is so beneficial to Arch.
Yeah. And if there's, obviously I think we're all very optimistic about what Arch can do, but if you want like actual factual numbers to help back up your thought process on Arch, his 3 best QBR games are in the past 3 weeks: 80.4, 70.0, 89.0. He has 6 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Compare that to earlier in the season where it was 6 touchdowns to 3 interceptions with 3 straight games of interceptions. You take out the Florida game, which is the ugly, stinker out there for the entire roster. I feel like Arch is playing better and he's getting more comfortable.
Absolutely.
And you also said this earlier too, and I want to circle back to this one. He's playing with more energy. He's playing with a bit more swagger. And man, when you get a quarterback that is like feeling all that energy. He's got everything's going for him, and he's playing with that swagger. He's playing with that energy. We're seeing it right now in the NFL with the Giants quarterback Jackson Dart, where
Baker Mayfield
and Baker Mayfield is a great example, and he did that in college. Johnny Manziel, Diego Pavia, just guys that play with a fire and a juice to them,
swagger, and energy, aura, that is transferable energy.
Yes,
like it goes straight to your teammates. Oh my goodness, coaches feel it because now as a coach, you have a certain level of confidence in your guy to go execute things that maybe early on he wasn't doing. But when he's coming to you and he's like, hey, call it. Like, okay, now that's, to me, whenever that switch hits for him fully, it's going to be scary because he's going to be scary good.
Yeah, I think, he's obviously just a redshirt sophomore for Arch. You got to make sure you don't have your expectations too high for him. He's not going to be dropping back Peyton Manning style, not yet at least, right?
That's not his game either.
No, it's not, and that's not going to be his game probably till his senior season if he stays at Texas for that long. I mean, he is going to be for the rest of this year. It's going to be a very similar game plan to OU, and they'll open things up eventually a little bit more. Hopefully, if we make the playoffs or make the SEC or however far we go, a bowl game, whatever, they'll start to open it up more. But then we'll see that progression the year after. I mean, it's the exact same thing we saw with Quinn, where that first year, man, it was ugly. It was very ugly from Quinn. He showed some signs here and there, and he has some injuries too. And then that second year, he take that big step forward. The offense is more opened up. They're running the football better, and the talent around him all of a sudden magically gets better too because Quinn's finally better. And so that'll be the same thing with Arch.
Yes, it is a cause and effect in his progression because 1,000%. Arch gets better. Everyone around him will get better. Now, the only guys I can't say that for with a straight face all the time is the O-line, because really the O-line, them being good is that has nothing to do with Arch, right? You know what I mean? That's totally on them. But for the skill players, run lanes will open up now because you don't want to sit with Aiden in the box and leave Wingo one-on-one with Arch. Like, that's a matchup at some point. That'll be something where teams are like, nah, let's just take one out the box and go 7 in the box and hope they run it. We don't want to see that deep ball. So that's the progression that they're kind of on. And I knew it would take time because everything in football in terms of offense is predicated on timing and getting real reps and things like that. So I'm just glad that it's actually happening.
1,000%. I want to end off with some of these comments here. Half the battle in the maturation process is blocking out the noise. I think he's discovering that for himself and not the people telling him to do it. 1,000%. Did you hear the quote that Arch made about the flop article?
No.
So
what did he say?
It's super funny. So they asked him about the article that was put out about him being a flop, and he didn't even know about anything about the article. He was like, well, you guys are telling me this for the first time. I didn't even know what you guys are talking about. So you're talking about a guy that probably is never on social media because it was all over the place. So that's a good thing. At least you're hoping he might be lying, which fair play. But if he's being
I don't think so.
It wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't. Arch doesn't seem like the guy that's scrolling through Twitter or anything like that.
Yeah, and if he is, he probably has a fence or something where his algorithm is taking him somewhere else.
Yep. Hopefully not on anything like that. All right, guys, let us know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Arch Manning's progression?